If you are driving on UK roads right now, you need to stop whatever you are doing and pay very close attention to what I am about to tell you, because starting today, for brand new rules are now officially in force across the United Kingdom, and if you are not aware of them, you could be looking at fines, penalty points, or even losing your license before this day is over. I know that sounds dramatic, but I promise you, this is not clickbait. This is real, this is urgent, and this affects every single person behind a wheel in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So stay with me, because the next few minutes could genuinely save you hundreds of pounds and protect your driving record. Let me set the scene for you. Every year, the UK government introduces updated highway regulations, amended codes of practice, and revised enforcement guidelines. Most of the time, they announce these changes weeks or even months in advance, and most of the time, drivers miss them entirely. They get buried in government press releases, hidden in small print updates to the highway code, or quietly rolled out without any major media fanfare. And that is exactly what has happened today. For significant rule changes have come into effect, and the vast majority of UK drivers are completely unaware. The police are aware. Traffic enforcement officers are aware. Speed camera operators are aware. The DVLA is aware. But the average driver sitting in their car on a Monday morning? They have absolutely no idea. Until now. So let us get straight into it, because you deserve to know exactly what is changing, why it is changing, and what it means for you personally every time you get into your vehicle. The first new rule that has come into force today relates to mobile phone usage while driving, and I know what you are thinking. You are thinking this is old news. You are thinking the laws around phones and driving have already been tightened up. And you would be right that they were tightened. But today marks another significant step forward. Previously, there was a legal grey area around what was technically considered interactive communication on a phone while stationary in traffic or at a red light. Some drivers were successfully arguing in court that because they were not moving, they were not technically driving in the traditional sense. That loophole, that grey area, that small window of escape is now firmly closed. As of today, it does not matter whether your car is stationary, whether your engine is on or off, whether you are in a queue of traffic or sitting at a junction. If you are in a vehicle on a public road and you are holding a phone, you are breaking the law. Full stop. The fine remains at a minimum of £200, and you will receive 6 penalty points. That is 6 points. For a driver who passed their test less than 2 years ago, that alone is enough to have your license revoked. And for those who already have points on their license, one phone-related offence today could mean a totting-up ban. Do not take the risk. The phone goes in your bag, in the glove box, or on a properly mounted holder in hands-free mode. Anywhere else and you are gambling with your license. The second rule change coming into force today is one that has been a long time coming, and it concerns electric vehicles and the rules around where they can and cannot charge on public streets. Now you might be wondering what this has to do with driving rules, but bear with me because this affects all drivers, not just EV owners. New regulations have been introduced today that clarify and extend the rules around vehicles obstructing pavements and public walkways when charging cables are in use. Local authorities now have enhanced powers to issue fixed penalty notices to EV drivers who run charging cables across footpaths or park in ways that block access for pedestrians, wheelchair users, and people with pushchairs. But here is the part that affects conventional vehicle drivers too. The designated EV charging bays that exist across UK car parks, high streets, and residential areas are now subject to stricter enforcement. If you are driving a petrol or diesel vehicle and you park in a designated EV charging bay, even for 5 minutes, even if all the other spaces are full, you are now subject to an increased fine. In many local authority areas, that fine has been raised significantly, and councils now have the authority to issue penalty charge notices without needing the involvement of the police. Parking enforcement officers can issue these fines directly and on the spot. So if you are in the habit of nipping into a shop and thinking the EV bay is just a convenient empty space, think again. Today that habit becomes much more expensive. The third change is one that I think will genuinely surprise a lot of people, and it relates to the rules around overtaking cyclists and horse riders. The highway code was updated a few years ago to introduce guidance around giving cyclists at least 1.5 meters of space when passing them and giving horse riders at least 2 meters. But guidance is not the same as law, and that distinction has frustrated road safety campaigners for years. Today, enforcement expectations around these rules have been formally clarified in updated guidance issued to police forces across the country. Traffic officers are now being instructed to treat dangerous close passes of cyclists and horse riders with the same seriousness as other moving traffic offenses. In practical terms, this means that if a police officer witnesses you squeezing past a cyclist without adequate space, or if dashcam footage captures a dangerous pass and is submitted to the police, you can now expect to face a fixed penalty notice, a potential prosecution for careless driving, and the points and fines that come with it. Careless driving carries between 3 and 9 penalty points and a fine of up to £5,000 in serious cases. I want to be very clear here. This is not about making life difficult for drivers. It is about recognizing that cyclists and horse riders are among the most vulnerable people on our roads, and that close passes at speed cause serious injuries and fatalities every single year in the UK. Give space. Be patient. It costs you nothing but a few extra seconds. The fourth and final rule change that takes effect today concerns smart motorway lane discipline and the updated enforcement protocols that are now live on several stretches of motorway across England. If you have ever driven on a smart motorway, you will know the system uses variable speed limits shown on overhead gantry signs, and that in all lane running sections, the hard shoulder is used as a live lane. What has changed today is that the enforcement cameras on a number of additional smart motorway stretches have been switched to full operational status, meaning they are no longer in a monitoring-only phase. They are now issuing penalties. If you drive in a lane that is closed, indicated by a red X on the overhead gantry, you can now receive an automatic fixed penalty notice of £100 and 3 penalty points. If you exceed the variable speed limit shown on the gantry signs, those cameras will catch you too. And the crucial thing to understand is that these cameras do not require a police officer to pull you over. There is no warning. There is no second chance. The notice arrives in the post, and by then it is too late. So if you use the M25, the M6, the M1, or any of the other smart motorway corridors that are part of today's expanded enforcement rollout, you need to be watching those gantry signs at all times and treating them with the same seriousness as a traffic light. Now let me bring all of this together, because I think the bigger picture here is really important. These four rules are not random. They are part of a broader shift in how road safety and traffic law are being enforced in the UK. The government, local authorities, and police forces are moving towards a world where enforcement is more automated, more consistent, and more difficult to escape. The days of being let off with a verbal warning, of arguing technicalities in court, of assuming that because no one saw it does not count, those days are fading fast. Cameras are everywhere. Dashcam footage is being submitted to police forces in record numbers. AI-assisted traffic monitoring is being trialled in multiple UK cities. The infrastructure is catching up with the law, and if your driving habits have not caught up too, today is the day they need to. I also want to address something that I see in the comments on this channel all the time, which is the idea that these rules are just about generating revenue. And look, I understand the frustration. I understand why people feel that way. But when you look at the statistics, when you look at the number of people who are killed or seriously injured on UK roads every year because of mobile phone distraction, because of close passes, because of lane discipline failures on motorways, it becomes very hard to argue that enforcement is purely financial. These rules exist because people are dying, and because bad driving habits that might feel harmless to the driver often have devastating consequences for someone else on the road. So what do you do with all of this information? First, if you have any family members or friends who drive in the UK, share this with them right now. Text them. Send them this video. Because I guarantee most of them do not know about these changes yet, and you could genuinely be doing them a massive favor. Second, if you are in any doubt about any aspect of the highway code or current traffic law, the official government website publishes the full updated version, and it is free to read. Make it a habit to check in once or twice a year, because the rules do change, and ignorance is not a defense in court. Third, and I know this sounds simple, but drive like the rules apply to you. Because they do. All of them. All of the time. Today is one of those days where being a few minutes informed makes a real difference. You now know about the tightened mobile phone enforcement. You know about the EV charging bay rules. You know about the cyclist and horse rider passing regulations. And you know about the smart motorway cameras that are live and issuing penalties right now as you watch this. You are ahead of the millions of UK drivers who will find out about these changes the hard way, through a penalty notice or a court summons. Drive safely, look after yourself on the road, look after the people around you, and remember that every journey you make is one where other human beings are sharing the same space as you. Treat that responsibility with the seriousness it deserves. If you found this video useful, and I really hope you did, please give it a thumbs up because it genuinely helps other drivers find this information before they get caught out. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these 4 rules surprised you the most. And most importantly, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update like this one. I cover UK driving law, motoring news, and road safety regularly, and if today's video is anything to go by, staying informed could save you a serious amount of money and stress. Subscribe to my channel, share this with a driver you care about, and I will see you in the next one. Drive safe.